One. Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to the color part for the Kelpie stream. We are joined today again by Chase. Hello, Chase.
Hello, I am back, everyone.
Welcome back. So, as I had anticipated yesterday, I went ahead and finished the grayscale basically, or more or less finished the grayscale. I'm just gonna go to the color directly today and then finish it. So, let's see. Yeah, we got some people already on Twitch, it seems. Someone lurking. Unless it's me, you, and the other me. That could be. It could be. Hopefully Cheese is going to
Yeah,
join too.
after yesterday's stream, I forgot that this was a drawing stream.
Yeah, it is. It is hard to tell, but so what do I do? Yeah. I hope to have the finished clean, a little more clean line art for the fire monster tomorrow morning. We'll see. It took me, I think, about an hour and a half to or almost 2 hours to just make the mask. So
Yeah.
It's pretty complicated. It's pretty complicated without giving away too much. Alright. So, how is the game proceeding? Have you been working on it recently?
Yeah, actually, just
morning.
last night, I was doing some programming stuff. This probably doesn't mean much for a lot of the people watching, but I was working with global variables and states. Yeah, that stuff is whenever you have when I say states, I'm talking about like in-game status effects, that kind of thing. Which, if you've ever done programming with states, it can get pretty complicated if you want to do more complicated things. And I'm really trying to work towards like condensing those down for global states. It can be hard because there's a lot of stuff you have to juggle, and I'm constantly rearranging things, which means I need to go back and check the different states to make sure like the IDs match. I'm trying to keep things a little bit organized, but yeah. Sometimes I do stuff in the early stages of the game, and then I reorganize all of my lists of things, and then I forget to change the IDs, so suddenly something stops breaking when I'm playtesting, and I'm like, why isn't this working anymore? And I realize that it's because of my own fault, but...
Yeah, that happens. Game states are complicated to handle. I remember making my own game states when I was using Swift, because I did some iOS programming, and that was really... it's pretty complicated in general, at least for me to keep track of everything. Oh, hey, Samuel's here. Hello, Samuel. What's up?
Oh, glad you could be here, Sam.
I think I'm gonna go for a greenish tint for this horsey thing.
Are you still thinking about doing like the almost kind of like the blood red for the tail?
Yeah. So
that actually might look good with the green.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm using green. Yeah. Thanks for joining, Sam. If I can call you Sam, can I call you Sam? I don't know. Whatever is more convenient to you. Let's see. Maybe something. A little more bluish. I'm gonna go the aqua bluish green tint for the body and hair and whatnot. Obviously greenish. Part of the seaweed part is gonna be a red. Let's see. I'm trying to have some color variation. Sound good. Cool.
Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday about the stream, and I told him we were talking about Star Trek and Star Wars, and I think he decided to pop in today.
Cool. So yeah, you were saying yesterday that you are a fan of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
The old Star Trek, especially.
Oh yeah, I don't give much thought to the new stuff like Discovery and Picard. I think it's all terrible. But
Hmm.
when we talk about Star Wars and Star Trek, that's kind of like the the eternal nerd battle thing, or at
Yeah.
least was. And I always thought it was kind of weird because Star Wars is kind of science fantasy. It's honestly more science, or it's honestly more fantasy than it is science fiction. It's,
Yeah, it is.
or swords and sorcery in space, basically. Star Trek is a little more hard science fiction, but I think some people make the mistake that that means Star Trek is smarter than Star Wars, which isn't always true. There's
Yeah.
some pretty stupid stuff in Star Trek at times, but I enjoy Star Trek because Star Trek is all about kind of like diplomacy and let's use our heads to solve
Right.
problems
Yeah.
rather than using violence and things like that. So
Mm.
it's interesting. There's a place for both of them, and I enjoy them both. So
Emily's asking, did you hear what Shatner said about New Trek?
yeah, he totally trashed it. You know who William Shatner is, right?
It rings a bell, but I'm not really sure, honestly.
He played Captain Kirk in the original Star Trek series.
Oh,
Yeah.
other, yeah, yeah. As I said yesterday, I think I always wanted to get into Star Trek. Things always went away, and then I didn't know how to access the content properly, in the proper order, especially. So, because
It kind of I was gonna say kind of depends on your interest because each of the series is different in some way.
mhm.
Like the original '60s TV show is more like an action adventure show. It's not like a intelligent diplomacy show. The Next Generation is when that kind of started, and I. Whenever someone asks me, I personally recommend Deep Space Nine as the first thing to watch because it's a really interesting and nuanced show. But again, it just depends on what you're like individually interested in.
Right. Yeah, usually I tend not to watch shows that are older than 80s, 70s, or 80s. I would say 70s and 80s. I don't know, just the vibe. It looks a little weird for me. Maybe I'm too young. I don't know. Maybe my taste is a little weird. So I would definitely try to start with something newer if possible. But
But
in
yeah,
general, I am more of a fantasy person than science fiction. Although I do like science fiction too.
yeah, I like both. The original Star Trek it doesn't really age well. It's very cheap looking, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of really kind of awful episodes. Sam and I actually watched one the other day. It's called The Way to Eden, and it's basically about a group of space hippies that they pick up, and the space hippies are looking for a planet that they call Eden, and the entire episode is kind of ironic because Gene Roddenberry, the guy who kind of created the idea of Star Trek,
Hmm.
he you would think that he was kind of sympathetic to that, but he was kind of making fun of hippies in that
Really?
episode because they all end up going to this planet that they think is going
Yeah.
to be a paradise, and they like pretty much die because they come into contact with like all these alien like
Yeah.
bushes and viruses, and it's like, well, you guys are morons. You didn't even go to this planet that like you went there with like no knowledge of what like the fauna or anything is like, and you just immediately end up dying. That actually
Nice.
makes sense if you just go to like a foreign planet and you
Yeah.
don't know anything about it, and it's like, oh, I just suddenly died of a virus that's here.
Yeah.
But
Right. That makes sense. That's the most logical thing that could happen because you obviously are not familiar with the local bacteria and viruses, so we're gonna die. There was someone saying, I remember saying, hearing that we're gonna die when aliens come here. We're gonna die because of their viruses, or they're gonna die because of our viruses.
mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's something I forget. You know the new Alien movies? They're not called Alien. What was the first one called?
It was like part of the same
Prometheus.
series.
Was it
Yeah,
Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Hmm.
That's right. And then like they did the sequel. I
Yeah.
forget what that one was
I
called.
forgot the name of that.
Uh, yeah, and it's like in the first movie when they go on the planet, they're all wearing like helmets and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because like you would want to wear like a protected suit when you're encountering a foreign planet and you don't know what's in the environment, right?
Right.
And then in the second movie, they just walk on this foreign planet without wearing anything and it's totally fine. And it was very funny to me that they kind of got rid of that like scientifically logical point from the first movie and just made it a lot dumber. But Samuel says Babylon 5 is the best Trek series.
Is it? Do you agree with him?
Uh, well, Babylon 5 isn't a Trek series. He's making a joke. I haven't watched too much of Babylon 5, but he and I were planning to do like a watch through of it at some point.
A little more silent, just trying to get this.
Yeah, I'm trying to not break your
Set
focus here,
going.
but
No, it's fine. Yesterday I was drawing a mascot for another channel. That was hard because it was like constantly talking, and this part now is pretty easy. It's just coloring in and or choosing the colors. It's not too complicated, but the brainstorming part. So when I'm actually sketching, that is complicated. It's complicated to talk at the same time and try to come up
yeah.
with interesting ideas. Because I also noticed that I tend to have a harder time verbalizing when I'm drawing. So I tend to say more stupid things because I don't know, it's like my brain has two different modes and I'm not able to switch between that quickly.
That's okay. I say stupid things all the time. But um you say you were designing a mascot for another channel?
Yeah, it's like small. It's very heavily influenced by Grand Blue. I wouldn't say it's a copy of their mascot, but it kind of looks like that. So because I didn't really have any idea, I went in like completely blank. And usually the chat is very active, but they didn't really recommend anything apart from jokes. And so I was like, okay, what am I gonna do now? And so I just did this quick doodle before the stream. And I'm like, okay, well, the others I did during the stream because of the reason I just mentioned were pretty bad. So I was okay. I'm gonna use that, and I'm probably gonna continue doing it next week. We'll see. Although in general, I do prefer drawing or painting aggressive creatures, not like cute mascots, because I'm not a cute looking things person.
Oh, see you, Sam. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. See you.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can talk about this because it's not really a spoiler, but you did do the Baynog concept for
Yeah,
me, which is kind of a more cutesy mascot kind
that
of
is.
thing.
Yeah, that's cutesy. That's true. Yeah, I don't think it's one of the best I've done though. Because again, it's kind of cutesy. I don't know. I feel like it's just I was not super happy with how it turned out. Although I guess it was pretty in line with the concept, right? Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty simple design. I liked it. Especially, I think its facial expression gave it a lot of personality.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, with that.
I kind of wanted to ask you if it was okay if I made a plushie out of it.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Uh, Absolutely. I might get one for my daughter. So she's
Yeah, that
probably
was.
gonna eat it.
I showed that design to several people, especially like a few women, and they were all telling me like that kind of design would go crazy with little girls. So you should definitely
Yeah,
use it.
yeah. Well, she's at that age where she's probably just gonna eat it or try to chew it. Uh, but yeah. It's this seaweed. Let's see. These colors are gonna be temporary for now. Then. Let's see. Maybe something like this. Something like a dead looking. Yeah. You're right. Hey, we got a lot of people on Twitch. They're not saying anything. Lurking in the shadows. Come forth, brave warriors.
Reveal yourself, lurkers.
This is. I don't like this brown. I'm probably going to change it later. The good thing about Psy is that it's got. I mean, Photoshop has it too, obviously, but it's got this real quick hue and saturation thing. I don't know. I find it more intuitive than Photoshop's one for some reason. Oh, and I'm just noticing there is a bit of an inconsistency here. It doesn't have seaweed on the leg that's further.
Oh man, yeah, I was gonna mention that yesterday, and I forgot.
It. Okay. What am I gonna do? That might be a problem. Because you noticed it, so some other people are gonna notice that. Is it really noticeable? I don't know. It's kind of weird. Probably. Or later. Maybe I will just fix it later off screen. Because it's a minor detail. So. Also because it's not going to be... It's in the back, so I'm probably going to add that atmospheric thing. A little bit, so it's not so stark of a difference with the rest. And this is going to be... Oops. Red. 2. I have, or I would like to find an RPG to play. Do you think, you said you played Chrono Cross Remaster, right?
Right, yeah.
Is it worth it?
Oh, what kind of RPGs are you interested in?
That's a good question. Well, I would say something like Final Fantasy. In general, those are the RPGs I like. That Lost Odyssey, obviously, it's from the same producer or director. So something like that, I'll say.
I will say a couple of things. I personally enjoy it, but the story is incredibly complicated. Mm-hmm. There are like over 40 characters, so there isn't much characterization. To unlock all the characters, you do have to play the game like 3 times, which if you use New Game Plus, it's pretty quick. The first time you play through the game will probably take you like 35 to 40 hours to beat it. It's not a terribly difficult game, and it does have a fairly unique battle system compared to other like turn-based RPGs. So without knowing a lot of your personal interests, it's hard to recommend. I will say it has like one of the best soundtracks of any game I've ever played, so that might be a positive for you. But
yeah, that is a positive. Soundtrack is really important for me because I need to keep playing for a long time. So if it's annoying, then I don't know. But since you mentioned it the other day, I would like to try Star Ocean 2 as well. How is that soundtrack wise? Because at least for my personal taste, both Till the End of Time and The Last Hope did not really shine. Sometimes they were too much. Like the soundtracks were a little bit out of place. Some of the environments.
If you'd like, I could like send you links to soundtracks from Star Ocean 2 because I know a lot of them off the top of my head. But yeah, I think it has a really memorable soundtrack. Yeah, I've played Star Ocean 2 many, many times. There's just so many different ways of handling the game, and there's so many different ways to customize the characters. It's really something I've tried to replicate in my own game. All the different ways you can like assort values to characters after they gain levels and points and whatnot. I've always liked that kind of thing. Because personally, I'm not a huge fan of class systems.
Uh-huh.
And the reason why I don't like class systems all that much is I feel like you can make every character do anything, and I prefer it when characters have specific like niches.
Yeah,
that
same
they're
here. Yeah,
filling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally
So
preferred. Mhm.
it's kind of like, Final Fantasy V, where you can give any person any class and you can make them do
Yeah.
anything. And it's like, that to me, I appreciate that level of customization, but I like the idea of characters that have specific roles that are kind of open-ended. And I think from a gameplay perspective, like there are certain times in games where you lose those characters, so you kind of have to rethink your strategies, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff like that in Final Fantasy IX where the party gets split up,
Right.
and so
I was
like
about to
one
say
party.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like one party that has all the mages and the other has like the physical attackers.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, so I can't rely on magic, so maybe I need to start using items more to do my healing and whatnot.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff I really like, where it's like I have to think outside the box for my strategies. But
Yeah, I prefer that. I'm not a huge fan of the job system either, because in the end, every character can become anything. So it's not like, okay, this is the mage, so it's gonna be. They have stats, but even if some characters are better at some things, they end up being the same to use. So, which could also backfire when they split up. Because maybe
Yeah.
you lose some important characters that you were always using, and
Right.
so it becomes problematic.
I think it affects the writing too in some sense, because games with like class change systems, they don't really have good characters, right?
Yeah.
Because anyone can be anything, and when characters have specific roles, that's usually because of like a character's role in battle is often a reflection of who they are. So it's
Yeah.
like we were talking about Zidane.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's pronounced. He's like a thief in real life, and he's a thief in terms of gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
So like that, the way he plays in battle plays into his character. But if every character can be a thief, I mean, at some point it almost comes like you might have like a conflict where it's like you have like really virtuous characters, but now you're training them to be ninjas in terms of their class.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, you know?
Yes.
But
Yes. Yeah. That's why I also appreciate it from that standpoint, because each character is a specific thing, and they're not replaceable. So you have the black mage and the white mage and the tanker, which I think is really cool. That's definitely something I like in RPGs, JRPGs. I should mention because of this reason, because of the fact that I also like very story-driven games, I tend not to like games like Skyrim too much. I enjoy them to a degree, but then I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I would like them to have some depth, though. Like, these characters all seem the same to me. Like, all of the characters, even if they do have some specificity, it's like they're all the same base mesh character with multiple modifiers that's doing something else. So I do appreciate those games that kind of tie your hands a little bit, and you have to do specific things with specific characters. That's the best thing for me in terms of RPGs.
yeah, I think with Skyrim, because it's kind of like an open world concept, which
Yeah.
seems to be becoming more and more like the norm.
Yeah.
But I really think like some of my favorite games strike the balance between open world and linearity, where it's like you do have certain things that you're supposed to do in a certain order, but it does give you some kind of like leeway or freedom to explore other things at the same time. I don't know. I think at a certain point, games become either too linear or too open world for my interests. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm also one of the few people who did not enjoy The Witcher 3 that much. I liked it at first, but then it kind of fell out of grace for some reason. Because it felt like, at some point, it felt like, I don't know, empty.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's just a feeling that I get at some point. I just feel like not continuing to play because of certain aspects of the game. Like, okay, it's like, for example, the pace might be too slow. Like, okay, there's too much time between story sections. There's too much grinding, stuff like that.
Yeah, in terms of game design, a lot of open world games have that issue where they want to give you the freedom, and then when you actually explore the environments and whatnot, there isn't really a whole lot to see.
Right.
It's kind of like they're emphasizing the quantity rather than the quality. It's like, look at this huge world. It's like, okay, but there's really nothing in it.
Yeah.
So at least give me stuff to explore. But
Yeah, basically. I like exploring, but then it becomes exploration for the sake of exploration. It's kind of pointless. Which is the same issue I have with a 3D free camera. So, like, okay, I can look wherever I want, but because of that, as I said the other day, I don't have a specific vista, let's call it, to look at. So everything kind of looks not so inspiring, I guess, because there's again, I had this problem with Blue Dragon, because there was nothing to really look at. Even if the environments were okay, there was nothing that the designer really wanted you to look at in a specific way. So
hey, now you can throw shade at other games. You shouldn't just throw shade at my game.
all right, I will see. I will see when I play it. No,
But I totally understand. Yeah, if you're gonna have a free camera, put stuff in there. That's kind of the approach I'm taking. When you use the camera in my game, you can actually find stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to find. That's the kind of stuff I like.
yeah. Yeah, it's cool to look around and actually see purpose in, I wouldn't say every single place, but that's something that God of War does well, in my opinion. The latest one, you wherever you look, it seems like they designed everything. That's the impression I had, at least. So there's not much left to. Okay, let's just put some random pre-made asset here. I
Right.
feel like everything is really purposefully designed in that game. Alright, should be done with the base colors. Time to adjust them, I guess. I feel like the gills there are too red, so I might want to maybe also add some patterning to the base. Make it gray. No. I'm not super happy with the current color scheme. We'll see. Adjust it a little bit. Maybe make the skull a different color. It kind of needs to be a little more uniform, probably. Let's see, which might also be a little too red.
I don't know. That pale body looked kind of cool.
Pale like this? Gray?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that might make a cool variation.
Good. Well, let's see. Let's see. I might just dial back on the saturation of the green. It's too green now, but it's also hard for me at this stage to really gauge the color, like how it's gonna look. So what I do is usually I just go back to the color at the very end and adjust accordingly, because obviously this thing is gonna change a little bit when I add some. I'm gonna put this back. When I add some rim lighting and the overlay layer. So it's maybe a little too pink.
Oh, kind of a minor thing, but don't forget about the coloring on that other leg, the kelp back there.
This one?
No,
Right.
on the front leg.
Oh,
There's a little bit of kelp on the back of
there
the
is.
leg you didn't
Yeah,
color.
there is. Yeah, I didn't know, so I don't forget it. These are usually things that I notice when I'm almost done. So it does become a problem at that point. I do also need to. I want to remove some of the shade in the water because otherwise it's going to look too flat. Just going to throw in some pink for these spikes and then just later. Whatever color I choose now, I'm still probably going to go back later and change it. Sometimes I just the default color that I choose is the one I like the least. That's why I do a lot of variations also, because there are certain colors that look better than others, and because of the process I use, it's not as easy to just go for it and find a nice color, obviously.
What do you think about making the water like a darker color?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, maybe like more murky.
Yeah, I was gonna say like either like a dark blue or a purplish, almost like it's tainting the water.
Right, it's like corrupting the water.
I just feel like right now the water looks a little vibrant compared to the monster.
Oh, it does, yeah. It's still gonna look maybe a little more. Let's see. Just a little bit, something like that for now. Not red though. That's like or too green. Yeah, let's try something like this first. Play around with this color. Actually, for the base first. Yeah, this is already a little better. It's kind of gray, admittedly. Kind of grayish, but it's a little better than the green that I had chosen before. It's not too bad. Maybe something like that. What about these? Full. Maybe. How's the weather at your place, Chase?
It's been pretty rainy here recently.
Really?
I think we're supposed to get thunderstorms today, so if I do happen to just suddenly disappear, that's probably why. But
so, where do you live, more or less? What area of the States?
Kind of in an interesting spot. I am kind of, I would say, for people in the chat, kind of in the middle-ish area, sort of like the northeast middle of the area. I kind of what we like the heart of America. For anybody who knows anything about the layouts of the states, I'm literally in the state that looks like a heart. But yeah, we're a state that's known for getting very variable weather patterns. So,
Oh, we never get rain here in summer, Sicily at least. So pretty lucky with that.
Yeah.
Although we do get some random thunderstorms sometimes. Very
Yeah,
random.
we've had weeks here where like one day would be like 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and then just a few days later we would get snow. So it's very interesting to go from summer to winter in just a couple days. But
Hmm.
I guess for some people it's nice to have change every now and then.
Yeah, I guess. I'm a person that really enjoys stable weather and stable and dry weather usually. So maybe not ideal weather for myself.
Is that why you went to Japan?
Yeah, sure. No, Japan was. I mean, it was not too unstable. It was just so humid, so incredibly, unbelievably humid. Never experienced anything like that in my life, ever, and hopefully never will again. Because it's really,
Yeah.
really wet.
A few years ago, I went to on a trip to Ireland, and they were telling me to pack like a lot of cold weather clothing because in Ireland and England and whatnot, it's typically very rainy and kind of dreary. The weekend or the week that I packed all those clothes and everything to take there, it turned out to be like one of the hottest weeks in Ireland's history.
Nice.
So I had like a bunch of like long sleeve shirts and jackets, and all of a sudden it's like a huge like heat wave, and it's like, oh great, I have to buy new clothing because I can't wear any of this without dying from heat.
Right. Yeah, it always sucks when you pack for a trip and then the weather is just complete opposite that you had expected. I don't travel as much, so I don't really have this problem, but it happened to me.
I really loved Ireland because not just because I'm like of Irish ancestry, but I was kind of hoping that because I'm American, that the Irish wouldn't give me too much grief. And actually, they were really kind and asked me a lot of questions about America. So it was nice to see that a lot of the internet, like European people who always talk trash about Americans, isn't really all that true in reality. But
Oh yeah, they do here as well. A lot, especially about food. But Italians are pretty proud about their food, so I understand probably why. Oh yeah, I'm very picky with food. I was very picky in Japan. I just cannot swallow the whole wet hair looking seaweed. Unfortunately, it's just not my thing. Some people do, but not me. And it was pretty sad that fruits and vegetables were, or especially fruits, were really expensive there.
Mhm.
Like they literally treat them as gifts. So you can imagine how actually expensive they are. It's not your average food. It's not something you can just go out and buy for like an everyday meal.
Right.
Yeah, they're very, and they what they do is like they pack each single fruit and sell them in units. So you don't buy a pound of apples, you buy one apple, which makes them insanely expensive just because of that. So it's like $1 an apple, basically. That's the gist of it.
All right. Yeah. I don't have much familiarity with Japanese food. There's like a couple of like Japanese steakhouses where I live, but I don't think that's really authentic Japan food. But I will say that like a lot of my knowledge of Japanese food has come from video games.
Yeah, same.
For some reason, Japanese people like will turn their food into like big things. Like
Yeah.
I really only know about takoyaki
Hmm.
because they'll create like monsters based on takoyaki in their
Yeah.
games and whatnot. It's always funny to me. Like
I
there's
ate
there's
them,
a
yeah.
character. Yeah, there's like a character in Animal Crossing that's just based on takoyaki.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's like a little octopus guy, and he's kind of tan, and he's got like a hairdo that looks like
Uh-huh.
melted chocolate on top of him. But
I've never really played Animal Crossing, honestly. I see a lot of people playing it. I've never ever played it. For the same reason I mentioned before, like very cute looking characters. I'm like, no.
I like to play it with friends and such. It's a nice way to keep in touch and play with them. I thought about streaming it just to increase my female viewership, but
yeah, it's very, very popular among females. Very popular. Definitely more than monster drawing.
yeah.
So, or monsters in general. I might try it out someday.
Yeah, for some reason, a lot of women don't show up when I'm playing like Yu-Gi-Oh or something.
Although honestly, the only person I've ever played Yu-Gi-Oh with in person was a female. When I was in high school, she was really into drawing and monsters and stuff. It was just the two of us basically with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so it was not popular where I was living. Which was sad. Nothing was popular when I was living where I was living. It was a pretty desolate valley, small town with not so very interesting people usually. So it kind of sucks because I never ever I was never able to connect with locals about my passions or my likes. Which is, I mean, it happens if you grow up in away from a major city or from a middle-sized city. That's probably going to happen. Still,
Yeah, I mean, I grew up and still live in a pretty small town, and a lot of the stuff that were fads were pretty much fads there too. So, like Pokemon was a fad, and then
yeah.
Digimon was kind of shortly a fad, and then Yu-Gi-Oh was a fad, and it's always one of those things where they would be popular for like a year or a couple years, and then they just kind of move on to the next thing. And I don't know. I was never really like that. I kind of liked seeing things progress, and it always kind of bothered me that people would just kind of move on. It's like, if there's still like value and fun to be had in these things, I don't see why you just have to move on just because it's not as popular anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I was bullied for Pokemon, actually. I remember I was 11, 12. And I was totally bullied for liking Pokemon. But I mean, the people that were around me were not the brightest, I guess. There was just one friend of mine, who's still a friend of mine, who liked pretty much everything I liked. And he's still playing games. We could reconnect recently. He's got a family now, but it was just basically two of us liking video games and Pokemon, and everyone else was more like, oh, the only games we play are racing games and soccer games. Okay. He's the one I mentioned the other day. I've got to know Final Fantasy from. Yeah, he might be watching now, or he's gonna watch later.
My counter says there's 5 people in the Twitch chat. I don't know who that's counting.
Mine says 4. I don't know
okay, now mine says 6.
Okay, I don't know. I'm using the Restream channels. Yeah. The website says 6. So either or. I want to add some color to this. Some patterning to the sail. Let me see. Maybe something more blue. A little. No, not this way.
I don't know. Do Twitch and YouTube, do they count viewers from people that don't have accounts into their view counts?
I don't know. I'm not sure. They might. I'm not entirely sure of that. But I know for a fact that the counter is often not accurate.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Because I'm assuming you have the YouTube stream open, right?
Yeah. It says 0 here.
I have the YouTube stream open too.
Okay, so it's 2. Oh no, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't count people who, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. Actually, it doesn't make sense. Because it should count, at least you, maybe not me because I'm the owner of the channel, but at least you should be counted.
Wow, maybe that means there's 200 people watching, and they're not showing it correctly.
There could be. It's hard to gauge the audience this way, though. Maybe it's gonna have this black-ish. Oops, no. Yeah, well, maybe black spots, not super black. Gray, dark gray spots. Something like that. I'm gonna try to finish it actually today, so let's see if I could have used another layer for this, but it's definitely going to cause trouble now when I go to adding color variations. Let's see. Something like this is not too bad. It's going. I'm so undecided when I work in color. Probably too undecided. Or in general, it takes me a while to commit to specific changes. Even when I'm brainstorming things. That's why it's good that you basically decide which comp to go with for your monsters, because you take away a lot of the pressure that I have usually when I design something. Like, okay, well, which one is the best one? None.
Yeah, I could tell you're really relieved when I tell you my favorite one, and it's the same as yours.
Yeah, it is. It usually is, which is good. It makes things a lot easier. Like the last one, the one I'm currently working on, that was definitely my favorite. I kind of like number 3 too, the one with the smaller head, but the one you chose was my favorite. Yeah, I was surprised when I added those extra things. I thought, these actually look good. I was not expecting it.
Oh yeah, I thought it was going to totally crowd up the design, but I think it really adds a lot. It definitely comes across as like a very, like I said, a fierce deity kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is what I was going for.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's just the problem is just making it relate design-wise with the others, which is usually a concern when you work on a set, let's say, of monsters or things.
I'm definitely curious on the last one though. I think that one is might take a while.
I don't have ideas at the moment. No idea whatsoever, but something. Yes, hopefully. Oh, it has to in any case. So,
my guess is it's probably going to be the weirdest one.
Yeah, it looks like, because it's got less humanoid features, let's say. Yeah, something like this. But I don't like the spikes. Like these. I think I'm just gonna add bluish. No. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super happy, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of light and life, and later see how it can be adjusted. Because I think a little bit of a purplish color works a little better. Maybe even for the hair. Or stringy zombie-ish hair. I could add a pattern on the body too, actually.
What do you mean by a pattern? Like an overlay?
No, like a patterning, like, I don't know, some patches of color.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't know. This is all very random right now. Like, I could vary this a little bit. So what's the base color? It's this. Maybe I can shift around. So you can have. This is completely random. Or blue or saturation here and there. Oh no. Let's see, actually, it's like basically the skin is not as consistent as with the flat color. It'd actually be looking a little better.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Has almost like a decayed look to it.
Yeah, zombie-esque sort of feel. Because I would think it kind of does. I want to add that black to the spikes too. Let's see. No.
Well, being Italian, you would know a lot about zombies. I watched a lot of Italian horror movies.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I haven't. Strangely enough, I have not. I don't really watch Italian movies. Honestly. Not usually. Which is, I guess, weird. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the local stuff. Which one is that?
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot, but like when I was a few years younger, I was really into like I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, but giallo, like it's like the Italian.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
like thrillers and fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually, isn't that the word for yellow?
Yeah, it is.
But,
it means yellow. Oh, there's a reason. Basically, it comes from the fact that back in the days they published thrillers in a yellow cover, so that's all it means. That's why. And so because of that, they're called giallo. Usually.
Although, personally, I'm a big fan of a lot of the, I guess you call them spaghetti westerns, like Italian directed westerns. Yeah,
those are pretty
I
good.
enjoy those a lot.
Those are pretty good,
especially the soundtracks, man. Oh,
those are good. Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty good. Some of the best composers, definitely. I think The Mandalorian I mentioned yesterday, that was heavily inspired by Western movies. The whole vibe on the soundtrack.
Well, yeah, the original Star Wars was also heavily inspired by Westerns. Yeah.
Yeah.
A big one was the John Wayne movie, The Searchers. They actually like lifted some of the shots from that movie directly from it. Like especially when Luke goes back and he finds out his aunt and uncle have been killed by the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
That's like directly taken from the John Wayne Searchers movie. But yeah, especially in terms of especially in terms of like Western music. Again, I hope I'm not botching his name, but Ennio Morricone.
Yeah.
The Italian composer. I mean, he was just such a legend. Like, I was so sad when I heard he died.
he's really composed some of the best movie soundtracks ever made, at least from my personal taste. Let's give some overlay now. Let's see. Probably gonna be bluish. Let's see what we
I mean,
got.
beyond just the other soundtracks he's done, the fact that he did the score to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that already makes him a legend. But
Yeah. See, this does okay. This is studio, obviously. Oh, actually, I forgot. I want to color this first. I'm going to duplicate it. Save it. So, I think this one, because it's underwater, needs to have some blue like this in the shadow. Probably or not. Maybe. Okay, let's try something else. Because for your monsters, I tried something a little different. That's basically doing the actual shadows of a different color compared to the lighter gray, the bottom. So I could actually use the purple. Actually, use a bit of a purple. Use a little different. Obviously, the water is not going to catch it because the water doesn't have it. This doesn't look too bad. Oops. Now what just happened? Wait a second. Something wrong happened here. It's too dark now. Hold on. That's too saturated. Too saturated. I think I've got... Wait a second. Was it this dark before? No, was it?
no.
It was not this dark before. Do it again. I like the bottom. The bottom layer is really dark. Too much. Let's see what happens. Probably because I did it separately. Let's see. Okay, it's a little easier to tell.
Yeah, messing with layers and masks and image editing software is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, the thing that Sai does is that if you don't squish the shadow layer together, like the shadow layers or group together, it will add some sort of weird effect to it. Right? Okay, so this is the same. So if I increase a little bit of the saturation, what do we get? I just want to give it a little bit of bluish vibe. Not too overpowering, hopefully. Something like that feels a little better. I could even leave it without the this layer here. It kind of makes it too dark. You know what? I'm missing some darks. Let me just... I think this feels a little better. Just duplicating, something I do sometimes if it's not dark enough, I just go ahead and duplicate some of the layers. Okay, this is not too bad looking. Alright. Again, this is the clone. This is nothing. Let's see what happens if I add a little bit of overlay. Yep. Looks like our friend the Emperor of Cheese ditched the chat today. I'm gonna complain with him.
Shame on him.
Yeah. Shame on you, Cheese.
Discord is asking me if I want to stream RPG Maker MV.
Is that the one you use, or did you upgrade to the latest version?
No, I don't have MZ yet because I didn't see enough changes to warrant upgrading it. It seems largely the same. The one thing I will say about MZ is that it uses effects here for its attack animations, and that is like one thing that I was like considering upgrading because making attack animations in MV is just a miserable experience. But the other issue for me though is like while I like that, the fact is that MV has like so many more plugins available, and a lot of them aren't like cross compatible. So it's like I could just like restart a project in MZ, but then I'd have to think about what features I'd want to give up, and I just don't think it's worth it at this point.
Right. That makes sense.
I probably will get MZ at some point when it's like heavily discounted, but yeah, I'm not dropping like $80 on it right now.
Yeah. But the I don't know, the company has some very weird policies, like for publishing stuff on their market. Because I was trying that. I got in touch with them. And so I sent them over, I think it was the latest, could have been the latest pack that the desert pack. And they said, oh, it's cool. Okay, I sent a bunch of marketing things. That's okay. But then they said, okay, well, we're going to publish it in maybe around mid-September. I was like, it was June. So that's what, 3 months? That's a long time to wait. Too long.
Yeah, I noticed that because there's like creators on Itch I follow, like tile set creators and whatnot, and a lot of them do publish on the RPG Maker. I think it's called Komodo Plaza now, something like that. And it's like I already bought this tile set like 4 or 5 months ago, and now it's just being published on their website for like a small like opening discount or something like that. And yeah, I can't imagine like. You make this asset pack and you can just release it immediately on Itch, and then on their website they have like all these rules, and now you have to like wait 4 or 5 months to release it on there, and it's like I need that money now.
Kinda, yeah. It's still sad that Itch is not. I don't know. Mine are not selling as good as I hoped on Itch. But I would think if they could streamline the process in their store, because the problem is that you do not even get a panel like Itch. They're just gonna tell you, like, you know, your pack sold X, Y, Z, and I'm not really okay with that. It's not that I didn't trust them, because I don't actually, but it's also, you know, it's annoying because maybe you want to know, you know, if it's selling before a monthly or bi-monthly or tri-monthly report, so that you can do more of that, if anything. But without having a panel or anything, it's just I don't know.
Since you've tried to sell on there, do you know how much do they take from a cut of what you sell from there?
It was 50%.
50%?
Yeah. I don't know about now. It could be less. Well, maybe it was 60, and now it's 50. I don't know if it was 50 or it is 50.
That's
right?
crazy to me.
It is. That's why I didn't want to do it. Also, because I have to wait, and then after I wait, I'm still getting not much. So I'm like, whatever, dudes. The first time I actually said no, I'm not gonna do this because come on, a lot of money. You don't do anything. You store owners. I do all the heavy lifting. I should get. I don't know. I can give you 30%, which is reasonable. Uh, no, 50. That's a lot. So I think I'm doing that now because in any case, I'm not selling as much on itch. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But overall, it's not a flattering rate. My expectation, the expectation I have, it's definitely not a flattering rate.
That to me, that's kind of baffling because I can't imagine that their like shop gets so much traffic that it would warrant that much. You know,
Right?
I mean, obviously, I don't know their figures, but at the very least, RPG Maker is still kind of like a niche community to begin
It
with.
is, yeah.
But then you're saying like you want 50% of the profits. It's not like I'm selling this on a YouTube shop or something which gets tons of
Right.
traffic.
Right. I would be okay otherwise. It's like, okay, well, I'm getting some revenue because this shop is so good. But no, they're not really. They don't have as much traffic. They weren't the insane percentage. It's really insane.
And in terms of marketing, like all they really do is whenever they release something new, they just put up like a post on the message board saying that they released something new.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the
That just
prices.
seems kind of outrageous.
Yeah, the prices. All this thing is basically to have your product published on their site, on their Steam, and something else maybe. But on Steam, the catch is that you're not getting 50%. You're getting 33. You get 33. So they get another 33. So you get 50% of the 66 because I think 33 is what Steam takes.
Right. I was going to say they divide it between what they take and what Steam
Yeah,
takes, so you're
yeah.
left with very little.
Yeah, basically nothing. So if I were to only publish them there, I would be like, no, I'm not gonna do it. That's preposterous. That's insulting for anyone. Honestly, why would you do that? For what they sell, like, you're not gonna sell thousands of dollars. Probably, you're gonna be lucky if you sell hundreds. So, nah, no, definitely too much. I only agreed now to that single one because I already have them up on itch. Otherwise, that would not be acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. No.
Yeah, whenever I bought like assets or asset packs, I pretty much always buy them on itch. Even I'll obviously do that now because what you're telling me is just kind of mind-boggling. But that's just absurd that they take so much of the cut and they're not really doing anything other than hosting it.
Yeah, and you have to do all the promotional art, like the banners and stuff. I spent several days to make those because they wouldn't do that either for you. And you have to follow specific guidelines, and if you're not okay, you have to send them PSDs and all that stuff. It's kind of annoying to do. So I don't know if I'm gonna do it to later wait months. I thought that would be like I'd do it now, and they're gonna publish it next week or next month, not 3 months later. And
Right.
3 months later is outrageous, outrageous. Japanese company. I don't know if it's because of that, but it could be. They really
Well,
have very strict policy.
from what I hear, that might be the kind of normal for there, but
I don't know.
That's one of those things. I was going to mention this the other day. When it comes to like trading card games, you often see stuff with Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is like very good about giving attributions to the artists who
Absolutely,
actually
yeah.
design. Yeah, and then it's like a company like Yu-Gi-Oh never does that.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like figure out online who actually designs these, and typically you kind of have to look at like the different methods that the artists use and say, okay, this seems like this artist's kind of style when they're designing monsters and artwork and whatnot. So it kind of seems like that's probably part of their line, but there's like no attribution or anything. And
Yeah.
the only time I can think of that is when Takahashi actually designed some of the cards themselves, and he included his signature in the artwork. But that seems to be a special case because of who he is. The actual other normal artists that do most of the card artwork are never attributed.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not.
And again, like you said, I don't know if that's just like a Japanese company thing or not, but
Could be. I mean, they do strange things. They have very different norms and standards, so it could as well be. It's too bad because, I mean, I think obviously as an artist, artists do deserve they do deserve a little more attribution and recognition. Uh, something here. Okay.
oh yeah, every asset in the game that I have like a text file of like credits. So
Mhm.
if I have like a section for like graphic design, such as sprite
Yeah.
ideas, or I have like a section for audio, so sound effects, music, things like that. I organize all of that because I want to give the proper attribution to every person who's had some level of involvement, whether
Yeah.
directly or indirectly. But
Yeah, that's
that's
cool.
just kind of how I am. I like to give credits to people who help me. So.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, because it's always like, okay, I'm gonna get this free thing, and I'm just gonna. But it's some people just put effort in what they publish. Even it's free, even if it's free, it's a good idea to credit the author. Uh, I don't know. I only know that of the even though I do require attribution. Um, Also for my for my packs for my paid ones, I don't require it. But I just write, okay, well, if you make a game with these assets, please shoot me a link or something because I would like to play it. Never got any. In a year and what? Hell, never got a single one. Which kind of sucks. I guess someone, I don't know, either they never really published the game or they just didn't get credit. I don't know. Tell me.
I think that's probably likely. I mean, if you don't know of any games that use any of your monster designs, it's probably that people just haven't been able to make them.
Yeah. So I guess yours is going to be the first one. Do you have an ETA for demo or something? Or a beta?
I'm still working on it because some of the things in my game keep breaking, so I've been like quality testing them. I did finish the opening cutscene the other day,
Yeah.
so that's a good start. I'm still working on the opening areas, but I'm thinking I already have like an idea of where I'd want to start and where I'd want the demo to end. So right now it's just kind of getting everything organized. I'm
Right.
one of those people where I'm very forward thinking, so I'm trying to basically create everything that I want to use in the game before I start the beginning of it. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, some people might think that's kind of silly to be like, well, why are you thinking about like what kind of weapons or armor you want to have at the end of the game if you haven't even done the beginning? And for me, it's like an organization thing. It's like, okay, so I know how to balance things around that. And I don't know. I'm just that kind of listy person where
Yeah.
I like to have everything in a certain order in a certain way, and I don't like having like a chaotic list of items and then having to redo it later and what kind of problems that can lead to. So that's
Right.
kind of the big thing for me is getting everything I want finished, and then while I'm making the game, I can kind of make minor changes. But That's kind of why I'm having you do monster designs for stuff that I haven't actually implemented into the game yet. So it's like,
Hmm.
okay, at least I know I have this, so that way when I get to this part of the game, I have the assets I need.
Right.
But
That makes sense. Yeah, I tend to be like that as well, but a little too much. Like, generally, I end up not even starting or doing the thing that I have to do because I think about it too much. I basically overdo it to a degree that makes it hard to later start the thing.
well, it's
So
weird
it's,
because I know people that like they'll start making a game, and then like halfway through their development, they'll be like, "Oh, you know what? I really want to introduce. I want to have this mechanic in the game, right?"
yeah,
And I'm thinking to myself, "You're halfway through the game, and now you want to implement this new mechanic. Like that's why you should think about these things from the start. Because now, if you're going to introduce a new mechanic, how does that like get implemented from the very beginning of the game?" That's kind of the thing I'm thinking about because my game has like a tool system, so there's like a lot of interactivity with the environment. You can like use a grappling hook, you can like jump around, you can you can use a pickaxe to mine, you can use an axe to chop things down, things like that. And I wanted to get all of that settled. Like there's a fishing rod you can use to fish, and like I wanted to implement that all of those mechanics before I actually start making the game so I can properly integrate them in. Because I
right.
didn't want to like make half of the game and then be like, oh, you know what? I should have a fishing mini game. It's like, okay, well, I guess that's going to get introduced halfway through the game now. But
Yeah, that's how most games work, especially indie games. Like, oh, I really like this mechanic. Because maybe they play a new game. I don't know, they play Diablo. Oh, I really like that inventory system. Let's implement it now.
yeah.
uh,
And then they have struggles with like, oh, so now this is conflicting with everything else in my game design.
yeah. Oh well, things that happen. If anything, the only game I published was underdeveloped because I could simply not, I did not have the time to implement everything I wanted for the deadline I had given to myself. So I was working on it when my wife was pregnant and my first son was about to be born. So I'm like, okay, this game has to be ready before he comes. And sure, it was, but I only I only made 2 stages instead of 15 because the pixel art was taking so long. Uh, oh well, it was like a
What's
pro
really
game.
interesting Yeah. What's really interesting, so for anyone that's listening that wants some insight, I've actually implemented mechanics into my game because of other problems from other things. So when I was playtesting, I was noticing that like when I was doing sort of mock battles for like testing stats and whatnot,
Yeah.
that whenever I would open the item menu to use an item in battle, the game would just lag so
Hmm.
bad. I would normally get like 180 FPS on average, and suddenly when I open the item menu, it's going down to like 20 or
Ooh.
15 just by moving through the item menu. I'm like, what's going on? And so I actually some people aren't going to like this, but I think it's integrated well. Is I have like a limited inventory system for each party member. So there's like a universal inventory you use from the menu. But when you go into battle, each character has their own individual inventory, which I call the tool belt. It's very similar to like Dragon Quest or Earthbound, where
Mhm.
it's like each character has like their own inventory set, and so you can only in battle use that inventory set. So it's kind of like a limitation I had to implement because I was noticing problems with I think the game's just internal programming. But yeah, so that's like one of those mechanics that came about just as a problem I noticed while I was playtesting.
It's cool though. It sounds cool. Well, it reminds me of something. There's got to be some game that implements that apart from Dragon Quest, because I'm pretty sure I played a game with that kind of mechanic, like the limited inventory. Hmm. Anyway, I think I'm gonna stop here. It's not super finished, and I'm gonna finish it off screen and then show it to you guys tomorrow, probably. And
All right.
tomorrow, I am going to start the. Can you pronounce it? What's that? Sahagan?
Yeah, I said Sahagan or
Sahagan.
Saugwin. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah. Me neither. So anyway, let's pretend this Kelpie is finished, which is really not, but you guys will see it tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching, lurking the shadows. Please participate sometimes. All right, so thanks again, Chase, for joining today. I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, I'll probably be here tomorrow if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. And for the rest, you guys have a good one, and